Hello everyone and welcome to the Vaults of Azeroth. So with the announcement of Battle for Azeroth, we've been surprised with the inclusion of allied races, which as we know functions as a system of sub-races, a feature which has been heavily requested by the fans of World of Warcraft. Currently there are 6 confirmed allied races, 3 for the Horde and 3 for the Alliance, and it has been noted that more are being planned. And it is currently unknown if we'll see more playable allied races during Battle for Azeroth or in future expansions. The current confirmed allied races are as follows. Joining the Horde will be the Nightborn of Suramar, the Zandalari Trolls, and the Tauren of High Mountain. And joining the Alliance will be the Lightforged Draenei, the Dark Iron Dwarves, and the Void Elves. Now whilst we're already getting 6 new playable races, I couldn't help but speculate on what possible new allied races may join us in the future. So I wanted to take the time to create this video in hopes of highlighting possible races and factions which could become playable in the not too distant future. Firstly, I'd like to begin with the Horde. The Horde itself is comprised by many races and sub-races, and they vary in different aspects. The first would be the Mag'har, which is interestingly enough the original race of orcs. They are uncorrupted by the Fel magic which corrupted the playable orcs so long ago. They have been members of the Horde since the Burning Crusade expansion pack, and also have their own culture and architecture as seen in Outland. Over the years we have seen many Mag'har NPCs, and while a large number of them have died in the lore due to the siege of Orgrimmar, it's safe to speculate that not all Mag'har joined Garrosh. Next we'll look at the darker skinned variety of orcs, such as the Blackrock Orcs and the Dragonmaw Orcs. They have been both friend and foe to the Horde on many occasions, and were accepted into the Horde by the then war chief Garrosh Hellscream. Culturally, they do vary from the currently playable orcs, due to them favouring the original lifestyle of the original Horde. Once again, we do know that a large number of these orcs joined Garrosh in his true Horde, but it is safe to say that there might be a number of orcs that did not join Garrosh's true Horde, and there might be a number which were forgiven after the siege of Orgrimmar, in an effort to stabilise the Horde due to its current political instability. Lastly, for the orcs, we'll be looking at a very unlikely but still possible addition. The Fel Orcs, also known as the Chaos Orcs, are orcs who have been heavily corrupted by demonic magic. And while this would normally disqualify them from joining the Horde, it is interesting to note that pre-Warlords of Draenor, there used to be a red-skinned orc sentry and a vendor at the Dark Portal. And it is more than likely that being cut off from demonic magic has allowed them to regain their sanity. The surviving orcs might have needed to reach out to old alliances in order to solidify their survival, and naturally this would lead them towards the current Horde. Next I'd like to move on to the Trolls, specifically the Forest Trolls. The Horde has had a somewhat friendly agreement with the Raventusk tribe of the Hinterlands, with the Forest Troll tribe actively helping out the Horde during the siege of Orgrimmar. This shows that the relationship between the Raventusk tribe and the Horde has been improving over the years, and that they might find themselves in need of one another during the wars to come. It is important to note that there are a large variety of troll sub-races, each of them feeling the might of the Horde or the Alliance at some point or another. And there is a possibility, since the Zandalari are joining up with the Horde, that these other tribes and sub-races may see it opportunistic to join the Horde. The Taunka are closely related to the Tauren, having lived for many generations in Northrend, being discovered by the Horde during the war against the Lich King. They had fallen onto hard times and quickly allied with the Horde in hopes for survival. And with the current wars taking Azeroth by storm, the Horde may need the talents of the Taunka, as they know Northrend better than anyone else. The Yaungol are the ancestors to the Tauren and the Taunka, and while they are highly aggressive to any race other than their own, the war in Pandaria has been particularly brutal to them, and they may need allies to recuperate. A variety of races form what is known as the Forsaken, and it is obvious that Undead Elves form part of it, as they would obviously actively seek out Sylvanas, believing that she'd be one of the few who would understand their plight. While it is easy to say that the Undead model carries aspects of multiple races, the inclusion of Undead Elves opens up many aspects of the potential future, such as the famed Dark Rangers. Next we'll talk about the Mok'nathal, a race of half-orc, half-ogres native to Outland. There may not be many of them, but they do make fearsome warriors, with the current most well-known Mok'nathal being Rexxar, the champion of the Horde. Given that the tensions between the Horde and the Alliance is rising once again, Rexxar may once again be called to battle, but this time he may call on his kin. The Ogres have been both long-standing enemies and tentative allies of the Horde, with various clans of Ogres, such as the Stonemaul clan, joining the Horde for one reason or another. There has always been much speculation as to if and when we'd ever see the Ogres as a playable race, especially since the Ogre male models got updated with the release of Warlords of Draenor. The last race in question for the Horde would be the Hozen, and while this can sound as a joke, I assure you it's not. The Hozen joined with the Horde at the beginning of Mists of Pandaria, and were a key feature in the war effort from then on. It's safe to say lore-wise that the Hozen would not be stupid enough to abandon their ties with the Horde, and would willingly answer the call to battle should they get called. With the potential races for the Horde now highlighted, I want to turn my attention to the Alliance. With the release of Battle for Azeroth, the Wildhammer Dwarves will be the only main faction of dwarves not represented by player characters. And given that the Wildhammer Dwarves represent such a large part of the community with their own culture and their own aesthetic look, it seems highly likely that they will eventually be created as an allied race. The Frostborn Dwarves are a sub-race of dwarves that are found in Northrend. They joined the Alliance during the era of the Wrath of the Lich King through means of their king, Yorg Stormheart, who was eventually revealed to be the Dwarven Thane, Muradin Bronzebeard. And it is very safe to say that should their king call them to battle, they will happily answer. The broken Draenei have journeyed across the stars with their uncorrupted brethren. At first they were seen as second-hand citizens at best, but as time has progressed, they have been viewed as not only valuable members of the Draenei, but members of the Alliance too, with many of the broken showing immense talents with the art of shamanism. And they may be willing to give more to the war effort, seeing as they are now being accepted more and more. While it has been confirmed that a group of High Elves known as Void Elves will be joining the Alliance in the war effort, they do not represent all of the current living High Elves in the Alliance. These High Elves have been members of the Alliance for as long as can be remembered, and still fight with their brethren to this day. And while the Horde commit more and more atrocities, the High Elves may find themselves needing to take a stronger role in the wars to come. The Highborne have only recently started reappearing from the shadows, and whilst very slowly, they are being accepted back into Night Elven society. In an effort to prove themselves, the Highborne may join the war effort. However, it is unknown where their loyalties lie, with the coming re-emergence of their beloved queen, Azshara. And finally, for the last Alliance race, I would like to touch upon the Jinyu. Like the Hozen, they made a choice during the war in Pandaria. The Jinyu allied with the Alliance, showing many similarities with the Night Elves. And it is more than possible that over the years they've built an even stronger bond. There are obviously many races and factions which are affiliated with either the Horde or the Alliance in one way, shape or form. And it is more than likely that I have missed a few out, but these are my strongest contenders to join either the Horde or the Alliance. And as time progresses, I hope to release individualized videos on each of these factions and races on why they would choose their specific faction. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you all again very, very soon.